Jealous, miserable people expect for you to match their energy. Toxic haters always expect for somebody to match their misery, match their energy. And that is something that we do not do as leveled up, unbothered feminine women. We do not match the energy of miserable people. When you match the energy of a miserable person, you are giving them a win. And that is not what you want to do. You do not want to even give the illusion that jealous, envious, haters, bullies, or toxic people have anything over you. When you allow somebody to get under your skin, when you allow somebody to get you out of character, when you allow somebody to get you all bothered, they are winning. The best thing you can do in the face of dealing with a hater, a jealous person, a toxic person, a person that carries a lot of negative energy is to remain unbothered. And you do that by realizing that whatever they're going through has nothing to do with you. When you know how to detach and not personalize everything, that is when you will be unaffected by jealous, toxic, miserable haters or people that just carry negative energy. See, people who carry negative energy, they like to make other people feel bad because they feel bad about themselves. Now, granted, some people might be going through something, and I'm not saying that you don't show empathy towards people who might be genuinely going through something. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who get joy out of spreading misery around. They get joy when they can make you feel bad. They get joy when they can wipe the smile from your face. Those are the people that you do not want to entertain. Those are the people that you do not want to give your time and attention to. You can tell when somebody is deliberately trying to bring you down. Somebody is trying to make you feel bad. Somebody is a little irritated by your happiness, by your level of unbothered, by the fact that you are a little bit too upbeat for them, and they want to do and say things or act certain ways to bring you down. You often see this with people who are jealous and or envious because you may be enjoying the fruit of your labor or your blessings. You might be actually enjoying your life. And as I have said in many other videos, you do not have to be rich, wealthy, a millionaire. You don't have to be any of that. You don't have to be a beauty queen. You do not have to be the most aesthetically pleasing looking woman in order for somebody to feel like they want to bring you down a notch. If you are a woman who has a kind spirit, a good spirit, if you are unbothered, if you have God and you have that light radiating on the outside of you, if you're a person that likes to see the good in other people, if you genuinely have empathy and concern for other people, there are some people who will look at you as a target to bring you down a notch. If you wake up in the morning and you see a lot of opportunity, you're more optimistic, not pessimistic, meaning you always see the positive in things, or you try to before looking at all the negatives. You will be a target for someone who doesn't see any way out, who always looks at everything from the negative point of view. And people who are like that, unfortunately, they might have gone through things that have caused them to shift their thinking to more of a negative light. And if they're not open to being around people and allowing those people that are positive to influence them, they will try to do the opposite, which is bring them down. And that is what we cannot allow. When you're dealing with somebody who has a negative, wicked, demonic, in my opinion, spirit, that person, in my opinion, is there to stand in the way of your happiness, to stand in the way of your optimism, and to stand in the way of your joy. And if you do not have God in your life, I have to say it how I see it. If you don't have God in your life, if you don't have a positive outlook, if you are not so grounded in who you are as a woman, you will let a person like that destroy you. They will destroy your mood, they will destroy your attitude, and ultimately they will destroy your spirit if you let them. So people who are jealous and miserable and like to spread their negative energy around, you cannot match that negative energy. We do not match like, okay, you're acting this way, so I'm going to act this way. You're treating me this way, so I'm going to treat you this way. No, you can call out bad behavior when somebody's mistreating you, but you do not sit around or stay around people who mistreat you. You don't have to match the energy, because you know what happens when you continue to match the energy of a negative, toxic, miserable person? You become just like them. When you're always in the habit of matching somebody's energy, you become exactly what you do not want to become. I hear a lot of women that say, oh, I don't have time for that. Like, if you want to go, I got time today. Look, I have said things like, I have time today. But when I say that, I mean today. Like, I'm not that way all of the time. Being the type of woman that feels like she's going to constantly battle with that negative energy person, constantly battle with that toxic energy, constantly battle with a jealous, envious spirit, you are setting yourself up to become a bitter woman. And that is what they want. Jealous, envious, toxic, miserable people, they want you to become just like them. Understand and hear what I'm saying. They want you to be just like them. And if you sit around them long enough and you allow them to get under your skin, allow them to get into your head, allow them to get into your spirit, they will make you just like them. You'll be mean-spirited, miserable, bitter, walking around cussing for no good reason, walking around upset, argumentative, always want to fight with somebody, always picking an argument, always down and depressed, and you're wondering why you're like that. Because you like to match the energy of negative people rather than doing the big girl thing and removing yourself from them. That is what we do as confident, leveled up, wise women. We remove ourselves from people who bring out the worst in us. And yes, you have a level of self-control, discipline, all of those fruits of the spirit as a woman, as a person in general, but as a woman. But as human beings, if you expose yourself to a jealous, toxic, negative energy person, and when I say negative energy, I don't mean in like the new age way. I mean just they have a sour spirit. Like they are just very down and depressing, and not clinically, they are just miserable people. They love spreading misery. They have issues. Those are the people I'm talking about. If you are around those type of people all of the time and you do not remove yourself, you will become just like them. And the problem that a lot of women have, and the reason why, in my opinion, they end up being miserable, toxic, and bitter is because they believe that they can stay around people like that for so long and be unaffected. And because of that, because a lot of women have been taught that we're woman warriors and you can be strong and stand up against anything, you stay in situations with men who make you feel more manly than womanly. And next thing you know, you are a bitter, miserable, toxic, maybe stereotypical type of woman, all because you choose to try to fight the fight with that man instead of getting away from him. You chose to be around your cousins, your auntie, and all of those that you want to prove that you're just as tough as them, and you allow them to make you hard. A lot of women allow this world to harden them, and they become men. When I say they become men, they become very masculine, and being masculine doesn't make you bitter. But when I say masculine in this case, I mean you become very rough, very rugged, very calloused, as in you can handle things that you should not be handling, like toxic behavior. You begin to handle somebody, talking all crazy to you because you're returning that same energy, and you assume that it's normal. And a lot of women do not realize being around jealous, negative, toxic, miserable people, they don't realize that's not normal until they get around other people who are civilized, who are relatively joyful, or at least at peace, at least at ease. They're not always argumentative. They're not always, in some kind of drama. You don't realize just how much you've been affected by negative, toxic, miserable people until you get around some normal people who know how to be at peace. When you get around people who, didn't return that energy from the negative people they were around and they just got away from them, when you're exposed to those type of people, you might think something's wrong. Like, you're not going to argue back with her. You're not going to pick a fight. Like, you're just going to walk away. Like, yeah, women who want to be at peace and maintain their femininity and maintain a relatively soft kind of life, they walk away from miserable people. They walk away from chaotic situations. But when you're always trying to match the energy of somebody else, you have to prove that when they go low, I go lower. And that might have been funny when we, Mr. Eric Mays, God, may God bless him and his family. That might have been funny when you heard that about him on TikTok. But it's not funny to return energy every single day of your life. And it's not healthy for a woman to constantly be exposed and having to return negative, toxic energy to negative people. It's just not healthy for you. You might think that you're handling it well, but your health is suffering. A lot of women deal with anxiety, panic, depression. They become addicted to different things because they're trying to self-medicate, all because they're trying to cope with toxic situations and toxic people that they need to remove themselves from. So as feminine women, as confident, wise women, we do not return the energy of other people, at least not on a continuous basis. Now, I'm not saying in the heat of a moment, somebody says something to you and your first thought was to return that energy. Like, who are you talking to? That kind of thing. I'm not saying that. I mean, if your average everyday experience is you go low, I go lower, and you are always, blow for blow, and next thing you know, you're just as bitter as them, you really have to assess how you're dealing with toxic, miserable people. Are you handling them, or are you allowing them to handle you? And that's what we don't do as wise women. We don't let anybody have control over our mind and our emotions. And when you return negative energy, when you return the energy of a toxic, miserable person, you are giving them control over your mind and emotions. They're already suffering because they're miserable. They don't know happiness. They don't know peace. All they know is problems, drama, gossip, and stir up issues. And when you feed into that spirit, when you feed into how they're acting, you become just like them. But when you're able to avoid them, and I know some people have asked, what if that person is your family? What if you live with those people? What if it's your mother? What if it's this person or that person? I have been in situations where the toxic person in my life in that season, I actually live with them. And you know what I did in that season? I got busy. I got busy doing things that was going to help me to develop as a woman. I got a job. I started seeing friends more often. I moved to a different state. I started making friends in a different state, which took me out of the house. Many people I have heard they're living with cousins, aunties, uncles who are very miserable people. But because they depend on them, because they live with them, they feel stuck. And that's where, as a big girl, as a grown woman, being in that feminine queen energy, you really have to decide, okay, what kind of life do I want to have? Because I don't want to deal with so-and-so anymore. I don't want to deal with this kind of behavior. I don't want to be in an environment where it's so chaotic all the time. What can I do to change this for me? And the first thing you can do is look into removing yourself, at least temporarily. For me, when I was in that toxic situation, I was like 17, 18, 19, like between the ages of 17 to 20, I was still living at home. So I had to find ways to get outside the house and just come back when, my dad would sleep, everybody would sleep. I would just pretty much come back there to go to sleep. So I would work during the day. I would be out and about with my then, fiance at the time, now husband. I would be out with him, and we're pretty much out all times of the night and everything, and then I'll come back and go to sleep. And then I'm right back at the house. It's like I would see my father and my brothers in passing. So you really have to make yourself busy. And then the more I started working, and then, he was working, and next thing you know, we were together, and, things just went that way. So the point of this is that in order to remove yourself from a toxic living situation, if the jealous toxic person you're dealing with is somebody that you depend on for your living situation, Find ways to get busy throughout the day so that you can minimize your interaction with them. You don't have to be sitting in the house with those people all day long. Find a hobby, find a job, find something to do, find something to be a part of. Even if you volunteer to help people in different ways, whether it be at a church, at a school, keep yourself busy and keep your mind focused on positive things. Because when you do that, you are combating their negativity with something positive. And of course, I must say, stay in the Word of God, because that's going to keep you grounded more than anything else. In my opinion, if you don't have a relationship with God, then none of this other stuff is going to matter, because things can change. But the way you feel on the inside, your relationship with God, that stays the same. So that should actually be the number one thing you do. Focus on God and make sure that you stay in prayer, make sure you stay in meditation, and make sure the Word of God stays on the inside of you, so that when those negative voices and people are saying all kinds of crazy things to you, you are reminded that you are a daughter of God. You're reminded that you're never alone, and that whatever they might be saying is not true about you. So that's what I would say number 2, which is actually number 1. And then the last thing you have to do, don't try to reason with the jealous, toxic, miserable person, especially, and I have to say this how it's coming to me. I don't know why this is doing what it's doing. I don't like this. I don't know why this coming to me this way. But if this is an older person, a parent, an aunt, a cousin, a grandparent, sometimes a lot of them are very set in their ways, and trying to reason with them and getting them to understand is sometimes a waste of time. Because as far as they know, they're treating you the best way they know how. You have no issues. They don't understand why you feel the way you feel. And you don't have time as a grown woman to try to get another human being to understand when whatever they're doing is affecting you. You have to make moves that are going to make yourself feel better. So a lot of the older generation, I have to say this, the way I have dealt with it, and of course this doesn't go for all of the older generation, but a lot of our aunties, uncles, cousins, grandmoms, mothers, fathers, a lot of them are set in their ways, especially when they are more toxic and negative in nature. And they're from a unloving, unaffectionate, they don't really know peace and, apologizing and things like that. People from the old school, a lot of times, they don't know about all that feelings and apologizing. It's just, I don't know why you feel that way, but that's on you. And unfortunately, trying to reason with somebody who's like that is, like I said, a waste of time. So in that case, you don't want to waste your time trying to reason with them. You just want to make moves that's going to make you feel better, which once again, comes back to removing yourself from that environment and seeing them as little as possible. That's my opinion. So when it comes to the negative energy and returning energy of other people, we're not going to do that, because when you return the energy of a negative, toxic, jealous, envious, and or toxic person, you will become just like them, and that is what they want. And we cannot give the haters what they want. All right? Like and subscribe to the channel and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If you watch this video until the very end, put the high heel emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.